generation Camaros are so popular, and we've seen so many different modified versions over the years, that I think it's easy to overlook some of the special versions of Camaros that were produced by the Chevrolet factory. And in this case, we're taking a look at a 1968 Z28. Now, of course, the Z28 was the option code for the car that was the street-going version of the Trans Am race car. So it had some unique features, but this is not a car that is only different because of an appearance package. There are a lot of legitimate high-performance parts that make up the 1968 Z28. 1968 was the second year of Chevrolet's Trans Am car for the street, being the Z28. And it was powered by this free-revving 302 cubic inch small block Chevy, an engine that wasn't very big but made a bunch of power. In fact, Car Life magazine said this was the pint-sized engine with the heart of a tiger. Perhaps the first thing you notice when you open the hood on a Z28 is that the engine doesn't actually appear stock. You'll notice a chrome-plated air cleaner unit sitting on top of an aluminum intake manifold, and below that are a set of chrome-plated valve covers with a chrome-plated filler deck. But in reality, all those pieces came with the Z28 302. It also came with some free-flowing exhaust manifolds, special solid camshaft, deep groove pulleys on the crank water pump and on the alternator, an 800 CFM 4-barrel Holley carburetor. It made 11-to-1 compression, and it had special pistons, valves, cylinder heads, valve springs. It was a forged crank, a 4-bolt bottom end, a lot of high-performance goodies inside that 302 to make a ton of power, especially at high RPM. And the Z28 breathed through a special 2¼ inch dual exhaust system that had a pair of what they called deep tone mufflers. All the Z28s were 302 cubic inch V8s backed with factory 4-speed transmissions that had a special heavy-duty clutch. Back in 1968, Car Life magazine did a road test of one of these cars, and they determined that that factory 290 horsepower rating was probably nonsense. And the way they landed on that conclusion is that this car weighs about 3,700 pounds, and it did the quarter mile in mid-14-second range, but over 100 miles an hour. And although it has 410 rear gears, it's not a real torquey engine off the line, but they were able to wind this thing to over 133 miles an hour at its top speed at 7,200 RPM. So to get those kind of times, you need more than 290 horsepower. The Z28 also had special suspension components so that you could put that power to the ground and enjoy it while racing around. This had special spring rates in the front and the rear, multi-leaf rear leaf springs, specially valved shock absorbers, which were staggered in the rear to help minimize rear wheel hop, an oversized front sway bar, special front disc brakes, and the suspension was capped off with some 15-inch rally wheels. And this is the only first-generation Camaro to receive a 15-inch wheel. All the rest of the cars that were non-Z28s rolled on 14-inch wheels. Even though our car has a very aggressive driveline and suspension package, it's wearing a rather sedate color. This is called butternut yellow, but the Z28 does have a few unique appearance items. It's got the racing stripes that go up the hood and down the deck lid, and you'll notice that the stripe is actually cut out around the C for Camaro, and that's the way these cars came from the factory. You'll also notice that it has a flat hood. The Z28 did not automatically come with a bulged or a cowl induction hood, so if you just got the standard Z28, you got a flat hood. The interior of a Z28 is pretty basic, and it's kind of funny because today everybody goes nuts over the gauges mounted on the console. They think they're very cool, but back when this car was new, they got a lot of complaints because the gauges were down so far, it was really hard to take a look at them and monitor your oil pressure when you're going 130 miles an hour down the road. Above the center console, you will just find a heater and an AM radio. But another neat feature of this car is that the original clock works, and I even think it's right.